It came out back in the day, back in 2017. Um, so, the article is called A Journey to the Center of Modern Hollow Earth Theory. The flat earthers are obviously wrong. The world is a sphere and it's hollow. So we're going to see what that is all about. I see we got two people watching right now. If you can, please feel free to hit the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, back to this article. Okay, let's get out of that. All right. Conspiracy theorists get a bad rap these days, and rightfully so. Oh, this was written in 2017. Oh, how the times have changed. But it wasn't always the case. I remember it wasn't all that long ago, back when I was working night shift in an oil patch. We would kill time by turning on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, or Norway. Yep, good show. Very interesting person. If you haven't heard his show, uh, it can turn even the blandest radio talk radio into a fantasy wonderland. It's almost innocent in a way that has been lost to maniacs on YouTube ranting about racist conspiracies and how putting things in water can turn the frogs gay. Ooh. Remember, this was written in 2017, so it is a little outdated, but it did turn out that they were putting things in the water that were messing with frogs' hormones and incidentally turning them gay. But that's neither here or there. Um, but regardless, um, all right, here we go. One night, a little over half a decade ago, while dicking around with my fellow workers, I remember hearing something far fetched, even for coast to coast, a hollow Earth theorist. The man, whose name I can't remember, spoke of another world that exists within ours. Down there, there was another sun, beautiful valleys, a lost tribe of Israel or two, and dinosaurs. Okay, I've never heard of the whole lost tribe of Israel being inside the planet. That's news to me, and we're not gonna go down that route. um, yeah, but the dinosaurs. Okay, I can humor that. That I can get into. And the other son that I've heard of. Now these I'm assuming are. Now it says at the below the pictures on the left hand side you got giant mushrooms, and on the right you got yeah, elephants and prehistoric animals. And below it says two of the original illustrations by Edward Rio and Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth. Okay, yeah, so that's what I was thinking. I was like, this must be a reference to that classic story. Um, all right. Frankly, if there is another world outside ours, among us wouldn't want to abandon the shithole. Excuse me, the shithole we're currently inhabiting in favor of this glorious underworld. So, in a desperate bid to escape the hell of modern society, I decided to dive deep into the rich history of Hollow Earth theorists and talk to a few people who have this belief today. Now, these theories are numerous and typically long winded affairs, meaning, under the threat of death from my editor, I can't cover them all. Luckily, if you're thirsty for more on the Hollow Earthers, Will Storr wrote a hell of a long form summation of the theory's history of the Independent, including more Coast to Coast glory. So, why don't we start with Cliff Notes' version of Hollow Earth? I think that's a marvelous idea. The godfather of the movement is Edmund Halley of Halley's Comet fame. The 17th century scientist proposed that the Earth was hollow and the outermost crust, which is where we call home, is about 500 miles thick and has rings beneath it. The Earth, Halley proposed, kinda looked like a dartboard when looking at it dissected. He got this idea from the irregular readings compasses get near the poles. So he proposed the inner worlds are what is messing with the Earth's magnetism. Interesting. And what I think is kind of interesting about that, just a quick to kind of jump off of that, it kind of reminds me of the Recot structure in North Africa. Is it in North Africa? I know it's in Africa. I know that, which has concentric circles. And there's Bright Insight Jimmy. Shout out to his channel. He has a great videos on how that could possibly be Atlantis. But I just think it's kind of interesting, the whole concept of concentric circles. And if it was what we were reading earlier was talking about Atlanteans living inside the Earth, and if they were to, let's say, live in concentric circles, in a city of concentric circles, that'd be pretty interesting. And let's say some of them got kicked out and went to Africa, and then you had the Recot structure, and that became a new Atlantis. I don't know. I'm just having fun right now with the idea. So just humor me with me for this a little wild ride. But I just think it's kind of interesting just to think about that. So let's keep scrolling down. So here it is. Here's the concentric circles. This is Halley's initial idea updated. So you got the so at the top part, see where you have the yellow sun. So that's the spherical surface sun. And then you have the surface world. You have the lithosphere, which is a mantle, the inner gravitational limit, and then you have the hollow earth interior world. And then you have the material inner earth, and then you have in the middle with the line, the unit speed boundary between motion is space and motion in time. So inner earth, material, cosmic inner earth, Agartha. Inverse interior world, Tartarus. Inner cosmic gravitational limit, cosmic lithosphere mantle. As above, so below. Put on your tinfoil hats, tying off your kufis, whatever you want. There's some interesting connections there. Which, actually, you know what? It kind of ties into a picture that I had in my slideshow presentation that I made. Let me go back to that real quick. Yeah. Because there's one last slide that I had. Oh shit. Well, for anyone who's just catching in, earlier I talked about the concave. It looks like I missed a piece, but I don't speak German So we're just gonna go by that. um, hold on. Interesting. We'll have to come back to the concave Earth theory, but I think more so, I think I might do a more in depth look into this whole geo cosmic theory because I think it's kind of interesting. And I apologize that I didn't go all the way through the slides. Check out this little piece, but it's okay. But I wanted to show you this picture. So, if you can see this picture, um, when we looked at the other one, we had like the concentric rings, and each ring was kind of telling you each, layer, whether it was from the surface or from inverse. So the reason why I kind of wanted to pull up this one because I thought it was kind of interesting because, um, if you look at it, you can just kind of have sit at it and look at it for a glance and kind of have fun with it. But you look to the if you look to the right corner, where it says the Pyramid of Giza, and then you have what looks like a passageway under the Pyramid of Giza that goes all the way into inner Earth, which is kind of interesting. Um, but it's funny because it kind of ties. I was hoping to see maybe Turkey would be on here, but in Turkey there are these massive underground cities, with ventilation systems, an area for storing livestock and food, and they don't really know who made uh, these cities. And there's many of them. There's some even in Ireland. Maybe I'll do a live stream talking about those because I also think they're pretty fascinating. But I do think here it's funny at the bottom where it says Rainbow City. I know some people would love to live there. And you look at the top to the left, it says spaceship base to and from other galaxies. um, oh, well, hey, remember I was talking about people who live underground? And you got this cave city of semi advanced race, um, over near to the left side where Brazil is. And, it's cool here at the bottom. It even has like you have the plastic basalt, you have basalt, granite, sediments. So it kind of tells you each layer that you're looking at. Um, but I just think it's kind of interesting. Um, this whole idea of the hollow earth and then that there's an entire a central sun inside it. And if you think about it, so if we were to kind of go back to what the Vice article was talking about, at the top of the picture where it says Agartha and then you see clouds, that would be considered the North Pole. And we'll jump back to the Vice article because they do show the North Pole and they show something very interesting in regards to the North Pole. So we'll scroll back down. But if you remember the picture, um, so I think, what's kind of interesting here is that as you get closer and closer, somewhere between, inner gravitational mantle limit and the hollow earth interior world would probably be, or actually, no, it says here in the bottom, it would be, Agartha would be in the cosmic side. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. I know it's a lot, but it's fun to just kind of entertain this idea. But let's keep on reading. The idea kind of festered in that state for around a century, only receiving some minor additions. The next massive update came at the start of the 1800s when a soldier and scholar named John Clevis Smyers, Summers, I don't know, Jr. John Jr., proposed that there were several entrances to the hollow earth. Alrighty. 1800s now, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. And I quote from John Jr. I declare the earth is hollow and habitable within, containing a number of solid concentric spheres, one within the other, and that it is open at the poles 12 or 16 degrees. I pledge my life in support of this truth, and I am ready to explore the hollow, if the world will support and aid me in undertaking, he wrote in 1818. Okay. Moving towards the 20th century, the idea lost a little bit of steam when it was essentially debunked for the first time by some meddling scientists, as these theories often do. However, Hollow Earth managed to carry on. The theory was still around, yes, but it was essentially taken over by the science fiction community. Think of the story Journey to the Center of the Earth, or like Land of the Lost. Authors like Verne and William R. Bradshaw thrust an inhabitable vision of an internal world into the mind of the public. This idea coagulated with Halley and Syme's ideas into a hybrid idea that persists to this day. Now, this picture, which I find to be a bit interesting and compelling, is this remarkable photo taken by the ESSA satellite on November 23rd, 1968. There is almost no cloud cover. The ice fields on the surface can be observed, and the hole at the North Pole can be clearly seen. A photo taken by the ESSA-7 satellite that Hollow Earth theorists believe prove their claims of a polar opening. So I kind of think it's funny the way they kind of worded that. Because the way I perceive it in my mind is that you you essentially have a satellite image taken of the North Pole in 1968 that shows a giant hole in the North Pole, and I like how at the bottom it's like, Hollow Earth theorists believe this proves their claims of a polar opening. Now, I have seen these photos in other videos presented. Other people have talked about it. So I think it's interesting. I think there might be something to it personally. But let's continue on with this article. The theories range, but a typical description of what modern-day hollow earthers believe is that the interior consists of multiple environments, which are punctuated with exotic and extinct animals, and sometimes aliens. And many of the theories, there are inner world inhabitants are either super advanced or have achieved some form of utopia. Others say that the world has been colonized by missing explorers. In almost all theories, the inner worlds are presented as strongly superior to ours. It's not surprising that some still clutch to Hollow Earth theory because, for many, modern theories have a religious bent to them. In these theories, it is typically put forward that the lost tribes of Israel inhabit the Hollow Earth. An author by the name of Rodney Clough wrote in his 2008 book, Our Living Hollow Earth, that the tribes were taken to the Hollow Earth, which is where, luckily enough, heaven and hell are also located. I mean, if you kind of look at Dante's Inferno and you look at like that, I mean, it's like he doesn't seem like he's leaving leaving Earth. Even if you look at, yeah, I mean, look at even in Greek mythology, like when you're going to the underworld, like you're like you die on Earth, but then you go down. So you know whether or not that means that if heaven and earth are inside the planet, that I don't know, but it is an interesting kind of concept and idea to think about. In order to understand his ideas a little better, I rang up Clough to chat. He told me that he came to the theory as a young man when he was introduced to the book by Raymond Bernard called The Hollow Earth. This set Clough off on a journey of analyzing scientific, spiritual, and historical evidence from which he believes he found proof that the Earth and most bodies in space are hollow. Furthermore, Clough believes without any doubt that there is another sun in the center of the Earth, and there are people who inhabit the Earth's core. Okay. This, all right. So we're gonna read something. This old transcript. Among those aboard the U-209 was an old friend, one Carl Unger. I received his communication sometime after the war had ended. I know it was genuine as I knew his handwriting very well. The approximate English translation of Carl's letter is as follows: Dear old comrade, this news will be a surprise for you. The U-209 um, Unterseeboot made it. The earth is hollow. Dr. Huschfer and Hess were right. The whole crew is well, but they cannot come back. We are no prisoners. I am sure this news will reach you. It is the last connection with the U-boat 209. We'll meet again, comrade. I am worried for everyone who has to spend his life on the surface of the earth since the fewer since the fewer since God since Hitler is gone. God bless our Germany always. With hearty greetings. Okay, so this ties into, and I think I might wrap this live stream up because I've been going for a minute. But this will actually tie into the next part that we're going to do about. We're going to continue doing this series, and it ties into Admiral Byrd. But let's continue reading this. Okay, the Germans are some of the people that live in the Hollow Earth, the refugees from World War II, the Viking colonists from Greenland. Clough told Vice. Obviously there has to be some Inuit down there because whenever they were asked where they came from, they would point north and say they were from the land where the sun never goes down. It is it is not easy being a hollow earther, according to Clough. The numbers of true believers has been slowly going down. This most likely comes from the fact that conspiracy theories have become plentiful as of late. While Hollow Earth has the old school vibe, few theories can battle its longevity. It's just not as sexy or timely as some of the conspiracies you'll find on, say, InfoWars. Who wants to search for an internal world when you can rally against a president setting up FEMA death camps in parking lots, or to try to expose a child sex trafficking ring is being run out of a basement of a DC pizzeria? There exists no real place for Hollow Earthers to organize and recruit as they don't have massive forums on the subject. They've been left behind by time. Clough told me that the group typically talks to each other through emails and that they do have a presence on YouTube. However, when the group wanders into forums like godlike productions, or other conspiracy sites, they can have trouble playing well with others. They're often made fun of by people who subscribe to cooler theories. Yes, if you were wondering, there is a hierarchy among conspiracy theories. To cap it off, there exists some friction with the flat earthers who have become hot as hell as of late because each theory makes the other redundant. Flat earthers are obviously wrong. The world is a sphere and it's hollow, said Clough. I don't think flat earthers don't have a leg to stand on, but I respect their opinion. I don't like making fun of people. I can appreciate and respect that. While their momentum may be slowing, the old guard of conspiracy theorists persists. Clough told me that he has either seen evidence or talked to over 10 people that have made their way to the inner Earth. This includes a German U boat operator and an admiral who flew his plane into polar openings into the hollow Earth. Clough hasn't been inside himself, but that's not for a lack of trying. For centuries, intrepid hollow earthers have been looking for entrances to the center, some even claiming they've made it. This is a quest that is ongoing to this day. Oh, look. Oh, this is back in 2007 to 2000. Yeah, look at that. All the way back in 2007, they had a voyage to the hollow earth. That's interesting. The most prominent of modern day journeys was the proposed voyage to the hollow earth, which was set to take place in 2007. Clough and other theorists were certain of its success so that they even built an itinerary for their trip. Oh, an itinerary. Oh, excuse me. The voyage cost around 20 grand to take part in and was supposed to take place in 2007 from June 26th to July 19th, setting off from Moscow on their third day. The first 2 days are for traveling and sightseeing. On the fourth day, they were to fly to Murmansk, Russia, where they would board a Russian icebreaker and make their way toward the North Pole. Once they arrived on the ninth day, they would spend the days, 3 days, searching for the opening. It gets a little eccentric past this point. From here on out, they would travel up Hikadel River to the city of Jau before taking a monorail trip to the city of Eden to visit the palace of the king of the inner world. What's so funny was when I first heard it gets a little eccentric past this point. From here on out, they would travel the Hidalkel River in the city of Joel. I'm thinking to myself, like, there's a place like that called in the North Pole? Like, I'm thinking, like, there's a place like that in the North Pole called that? And then it's like, oh, okay, they're talking about inside the planet. Like, they had, like she said, like they said, they had an itinerary. I wonder if the itinerary came with a map. What do you got to do for food and beverages? Do they have a buffet? What are we doing here? Do they have credits? Okay, after spending their time in Eden, they would make their trip home. If, God forbid, they didn't find the entrance, they did have a backup plan. Oh, they had a backup plan. Okay. Please know that if we were unable to find the polar opening, we will be returning via the New Siberian Islands to visit skeleton remains of exotic animals thought to originate from inner Earth. Reads a note at the bottom of the itinerary. Okay. Sadly, the planning the expedition never worked out. One of their leaders, Steve Curry, died of brain cancer. Oh, that's sad. Explained Clough. The bad luck continued. According to Clough, another leader was killed. What? After his plane flew into a mountain, and the third had to pull out because the largest investor in his company threatened to pull funding if the man didn't walk away from his hollow earth beliefs. The group has attempted a few more voyages, but the plans just keep unraveling. That said, Clough isn't opposed to another attempted voyage. They just need a leader. It couldn't be him, though, he said. He's an author, not an adventurer. Okay, if that doesn't tell you, just put on your tinfoil hat for this for a little bit. It almost seems, right? Okay, so I don't know the medical history behind Mr. Curry, but isn't it crazy, right? Just as they were about to follow through, right? Mr. Curry dies of brain cancer. Another leader was killed after his plane flew into a mountain. And the third had to pull out because his largest investor would pull out of his company if he didn't pull away from his hollow earth beliefs. So that tells me that is 110% suspect. But that is kind of weird. Talk about bad luck. I don't know if it's bad luck or coincidences or part of the plan. All right. There are people out there. There are tons of people who have expressed interest in this expedition. If we can get it off the ground, said Clough. I don't think there is a whole lot of people out there. Certainly not in the millions, but maybe in the thousands. Well, sign me up for the next expedition because, goddamn it, if I wouldn't trade the modern day world for some lost tribes, Vikings, and dinosaurs, with all the hyper partisan bullshit flying around these days, it's hard to remember that one time these theories were popular because they spoke directly to your inner child and not your inner asshole. Oh, that's funny. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude this first part of our Hollow Earth theory.